Hey you! Do you like playing in the dirt? Do you love digging trenches? Do you want to fight for the glorious Kaiser and die a heroic death for the fatherland? Well, you don't need to worry about that because you're not playing the grunt. You get to kind of be in charge. Welcome to All Quiet in the Trenches, a game made by Totally Not Aliens, no, that's the name of the company, where you as a brand new Unteroffizier take command of a small squad of German soldiers during the war to end all wars. Wow, what a happy ragtag group of guys that got here. As a squad leader, you have two main objectives: delegating tasks to your soldiers while also trying to keep your boss, Herr Leutnant Cosbrook, happy by fulfilling his orders. You will start the game in a frontline trench with 4 soldiers immediately under your command. Very quickly, you will learn some of the management mechanics of the game, assigning tasks to your soldiers such as getting food and ammunition. You are quickly given your first choice of the game. A nearby bunker has collapsed from artillery, and your squad needs to dig out the buried soldiers. Only one man is left alive in the end, but he is on the verge of death. You need to decide if it is worth trying to save the soldier, which would require one of your men to take him to the field hospital, or would you rather put the poor man down and save yourself the effort. Shortly after this decision, your trench will be attacked by the French, and Herr Leutnant will give the order to retreat while taking as much supplies with you as possible. This is where you will learn some of the basic combat mechanics of the game, such as moving around and searching for supplies. Gonna leave. Have the rest of our team overrun the enemy while we gather more stuff. Well, that was unpleasant. Yikes. Good thing we're not those guys. Right team. Right squad. Good thing we're not those guys. Good thing we're not getting shot at. Once your squad withdraws, you are introduced to the rear line management mechanics of the game, given your 2 missing troops, and are introduced to the supporting cast for your squad, including Elizabeth Ritter, the nurse, who you will talk to if your troops become ill or wounded, Anton Zelensky, your camp cook, who you will talk to determine meal sizes, which help your soldiers with recovering from exhaustion, Friedrich Hennig, the supply officer, and lastly, Marianne Laroche, who speaks to you on behalf of the French town near the camp. Here is where the main management of your troops take place. At the start of every turn, your troops will be resting, but you will be assigned tasks during the day that need to get done. These tasks can come from the Leutnant, such as patrols, digging trenches, and guarding prisoners, but they can also come from the supporting cast and even your own troops. Danner. Villagers are suspect. Great, nothing I'd rather do with my time than send my troops out to go be tired. If this game was as simple as assigning tasks to different soldiers, there wouldn't be much of a challenge. But you lead people, not machines. They need rest, they get scared. If you assign them with too many tasks, they may collapse from exhaustion and need to go to the field hospital. You need to decide what is most important and what needs to be done. Should you not assign someone to do a particular task so that they can rest, or do you risk having them collapse from exhaustion because the task needs to get done? Just know, if you fail to complete an assigned task, there will be some sort of consequence. In All Quiet in the Trenches, you have 2 main stats, prestige and morale. To simplify what they do, think of prestige as a currency that you can use to buy favors from Herr Leutnant and Hennig, such as breaks from tasks and extra rations. You gain prestige by winning battles, following Herr Leutnant's commands, and assigning your troops to do extra work. You will lose prestige if you show a lack of discipline or fail to do assigned tasks. Your morale shows how happy your troops are on average. Morale by itself is not an important stat, but it is the results of poor morale that will cause you to lose prestige and maybe even lose the game. If you fail to keep your troops' morale up, they may start to become undisciplined and may even desert. They had arrested him and now he was awaiting his judgment under the circumstances a prison sentence was certain for. Honestly, too good for him. I'd have rather him be shot. While in the rear lines, you will also have story elements take place, depending on your squad members, that give them a bit more flavor and lets you subtly decide who you actually care about. You will be given multiple ways to respond to these events. The outcome will be dependent on the soldier's mood, as well as some of his traits. A soldier is afraid to go into combat. Well, if he's patriotic, you better remind him what we're fighting for, the Kaiser and the fatherland. On the other hand, if he's more compassionate, you'd better remind him what he's fighting for, his comrades and his family. You went to basic training in Gunlisberg? Oh my goodness, he's actually funny. Speaking of fighting, remember that this is a war game. You will have your chance to pay back the French for your earlier defeat with an attack of your own. This is the final portion of the tutorial, where you will learn the rest of the combat mechanics, such as how cover works, suppression, grenades, and close combat. But don't get too excited, because you're scripted to lose this battle. Abort the attack, withdraw. Is that Hunt over there? No, Hunt is fleeing to a mid. What happened to Hunt? Cover and suppression work hand in hand. Your ability to suppress and kill the enemy is directly related to how good your cover is. Grenades are your beloved. Sometimes using them feels like a blind man in a ring toss match, but when it hits, it can seemingly change the outcome of a battle. Close combat is a similar experience, but instead of a ring toss game where you have no consequences for losing, it's more like trying to hit a nail with a hammer. While blindfolded. Your odds are very slim, and you will more often than not just wind up hurting yourself. Oh my goodness, an actual successful close range assault. We wiped them! We completely wiped them! Excellent work, team! Oh my goodness, I think that's the first time I've ever actually had a successful charge. Yeah, the combat in this game is a bit weak, but in a sense, that's intentional. Remember, you are a small squad of 6 men or less, not super soldiers here to change the tide of the war. During your first real combat experience, one or more of your troops were probably wounded in combat. Once you return from the battlefield, you will become familiar with your greatest foe, the field hospital. Your troop's ability to recover in the field hospital is directly related to how full the hospital is. If it is full of wounded, your men are almost as good as dead. This is because not only are you down to 5 or less men, but now you need to divert some of those troops to the field hospital so your troops can recover. If your wounded soldier develops a fever, you might as well let them die and make the ultimate sacrifice for the fatherland so that you can get a new man. But remember, your remaining troops will receive a permanent debuff to their morale from the loss of a squad mate. Great. Now we got 2 people in the field hospital. Everybody's gonna be super tired. Odds are we're gonna wind up having Hunt die because we're not gonna be able to take care of him. Eventually, you'll be sent back to the frontline trench where your management skills will be put to the test. Constant assignments from her Leutnant, and need to regularly get food and ammunition, setting up defenses, repairing defenses, rats, snipers, performing recon, and becoming very acquainted with French artillery bombardments. Are your troops exhausted? Are you down to only 4 men? Are they willing to do jobs during heavy artillery bombardments? These are all related to how you perform during your time in the rear lines. And how you perform now at the front will also have an impact on your ability to fight in combat. I hope for your sake you didn't neglect to bring ammunition. Oh, it stinks. Did the artillery at least stop? No. Well, let's just have our fingers crossed that the French do not attack, otherwise we're gonna have a serious problem. And don't forget, you need to keep up this balancing act for several months. In conclusion, All Quiet in the Trenches is a fun squad management game for the World War I enthusiasts and management game enjoyers, where you lead the Kaiser's funniest soldiers into his silliest battles. A game where your actions in one area will affect your ability to do your job in others, during a war where you need to exhaust every resource available to you to avoid certain death. Oh, and that guy's dead too. Wow, that was incredibly dramatic what just happened to that guy. I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone who watched to the end of the video. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to like and subscribe.